Hi, I'm really excited to be looking over your TED Talk presentation aid. I think you're on your way to preparing a wonderful speech. I especially like your attention getter. Your introduction includes your attention getter, your purpose statement, and your preview of main ideas. And I gotta say, your attention getter is spot on. I think that kind of brief story is really engaging, it's personable, and it'll help you establish that connection with your audience and really kind of get them interested into your presentation. So excellent job. Great idea. Your purpose statement is also spot on. You clearly state what the goal is of your presentation and what your listeners will want to be making sure that they're listening for. Your preview of your three main ideas is really straightforward. You're going to talk about identities, verbal and nonverbal communication, and then culture communication. So these are three huge areas within the field of communication studies, and I'm excited to see you explore these and present a really dynamic speech that's going to include these three important areas for your audience to learn more about. I'm a little bit, I think for when you make your revisions to this outline and kind of keep working on it to take your speech to the next level before you present at the end of the month, you might want to give just a little bit more information about your main ideas here in your preview. I'm not sure if your audience, especially if they haven't taken COM 265, they might not know what you mean by identities or what you mean by verbal and nonverbal communication or even culture communication. So giving a little bit more context might help them to have a better sense of what you're going to be talking about. And I know the format of the speech with the preview and then the body and then the summary and the conclusion, it's more repetitive than what you would probably write. And that repetition is important because your speech, well, you really only have one chance to give it. And we know how important it is to work on our listening skills, and your audience, they're people, and they may they're going to be listening as best as they can, but as a speaker, it's nice to have that structure of the intro, body, and conclusion so you can tell your audience what you're going to say so they know what to focus on. Then you say it, and then you remind them what you said, and this will help them to remember. So that's the reason for that. Moving on to the body, you clearly have integrated your main ideas right into it, but this is feeling a bit sparse. So when I look up at your introduction, you have all the details there. It's all laid out, super prepared. And the body of your speech needs a little bit more attention to those details. Now, I'm not quite sure. So as I'm reading it, I don't know what you're going to say when you're talking about peeling the onion or symbols. You're going to want to include that information here in your outline. So this is not a speaking outline. This is the preparation outline, and it's a little bit more detailed, uses full sentences, and a little bit more like a paper. This will probably be just the right kind of notes for when you are speaking and you're giving your speech, because you won't be tempted to read it word for word, but it'll still function as a way to kind of help you remember the order of your ideas and what your plans were. Now, in addition to kind of fleshing these out and including a variety of ways to expand on it. So here you have different relationships. As a reader, I don't know what you mean by that. You'll probably want to include the types of relationships that you plan to discuss here, as well as some facts, examples, short stories, maybe even humor, things that fit your personality and can kind of add tools of engagement so that your audience don't get bored. Your audience members will enjoy your speech and see how much hard work that you've put into it. Now, in these kinds of things here with functions of nonverbal, types of nonverbal, there is a lot of information there. So when you get this all planned and fleshed out the way that you intend to say it for your speech later this month, definitely practice. And I think practicing with your cell phone, taking a video of yourself giving the speech will be helpful. You'll be able to see if you're making eye contact, gestures, if you're talking too fast, and that'll help you to kind of smooth that out and have that practice before your big speech presentation. And it'll also give you a sense of how long your presentation is. So the time that you're aiming for here is 5 to 7 minutes. And knowing if you do a practice speech and it only comes out to like 3 minutes long, that'll help you to know if you need to add a little bit more stories, add a little bit more statistics, case study, or something to kind of help you to further elaborate on your main ideas. And that kind of brings me to my, so then your conclusion, again, you have that summary of your main ideas. It's spot on. Excellent work. You reinforce your purpose statement, so the audience will definitely have a sense of closure. And then you have a memorable ending where you ask your audience some questions. I think your conclusion is outstanding. So your intro, your conclusion, great work. The body, you can use some more elaboration, some more supporting material between now and when you finish or plan to give your speech. Now, as I'm scrolling down, you'll notice there's a lot of white space here, which is cool, except for this is where you're going to want to include your references. So this is a research presentation, so you're going to need to have five references. That's the minimum. You can have more if you want to. And in addition, just keep in mind, and if this is repetitive, I'm sorry, you're probably hearing it from a lot of your teachers, but if a source is listed in your references and you need 5 sources listed there, then they also have to be included up here in your writing somewhere. So you'll have to use an in-text citation. And the in-text citation, not only are they important for in academic writing and to help avoid plagiarism and to really showcase how your ideas connect and build on other scholars, it also helps you as a speaker to establish your credibility. Now, your audience isn't going to have a chance to see this handout, and this is your preparation notes. So the only way you can communicate to your audience that you've done the research is to actually say those sources as you're talking. And a simple way of doing that is to just like a phrase, like according to doctors, blah, 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 in their article titled, la, 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 published in 2017, monochronic culture is, so you can get the gist of how to phrase that. And I know it doesn't sound natural because we don't really do it in our daily conversations. So it does take some practice, and including those citations in your notes will help you to remember because it may not come naturally. I know for me, I have to write it in my notes to remember. And let's see what else. Oh, so for your speech, you will need to include two presentation aids and a lot of good, well, the common combination for speakers is a PowerPoint and a handout or some sort of slide software like Prezi. You can do that if you'd like. You don't have to. You can use props or posters, video clips. So for a presentation that's 5 to 7 minutes long, like a 30-second, 45-second long video clip might be appropriate. I mean, you definitely want to speak for 5 minutes, but you have some leeway there with some extra time that could be used for a video. So it really is just your decision as the artist, as the presenter, to decide what fits well with the environment that you're going to be presenting in and what will help you to best communicate your message and accomplish your goal with your audience. So again, I think you're on your way to preparing a wonderful speech. I'm looking forward to hearing your presentation later this month. Your topics, your main ideas are outstanding. And yeah, so if you have any questions about this feedback or about conducting research, just let me know. Send me a message through Canvas. I'm glad to talk more. Thank you again.